Hi there everybody and welcome to another video from the Toon Review YouTube channel. My name's Paul. Thank you very much for tuning in. A couple of things to go through today. A fantastic gesture from Newcastle United to Wimbledon. Alan Shearer has slammed the off-field problems at Newcastle United, and could Chris Rigg be a target for Newcastle United as early as the winter transfer window? We'll get into it all, but first of all we start with the fantastic gesture from Newcastle United to Wimbledon Football Club. Of course, the game tonight postponed because of horrendous problems due to flooding near Plough Lane, and of course the pitch giving way towards the corner flag, as we've seen in many pictures. Very, very sad and very upsetting for everyone concerned with Wimbledon Football Club as well. This is a League Two side who, rely on, certainly big football matches against the likes of Newcastle United. Of course, the game has been rescheduled now and it will be played at St James's Park a week today. And hopefully the gate receipts from that, most of it anyway, will go to Wimbledon. But they have already donated £15,000 to a Just Giving page that the Wimbledon fans started in order to try and help the club repair the pitch. I think it's a fantastic effort, not just from Newcastle United to send that money, but from the Wimbledon fans themselves to really straight away get something done and try and raise some funds for the club. And I believe they've raised, recording this video, something along the lines of £54,000 already. They had a £50,000 target, but they've smashed that, absolutely smashed that. And congratulations to them as well, because that is a fantastic effort to get that sorted in such a little time, because we know, the sooner they get the pitch sorted, the better it is for their future. And a £15,000 donation from Newcastle United as well, I think is astounding. It really is astounding. So well done to Newcastle United. Well done to Wimbledon's fans as well, because they should take a lot of credit for getting that kind of funds raised in such a short period of time to help the club in order to fix the pitch. I think it's a wonderful gesture, and it's a real community. That it just shows you what a real community Wimbledon is. The football club has been through some torrid times since, of course, that breakaway garbage to MK Dons. For me, my granddad was a Wimbledon fan, of course, and that club is very close to my heart, and it's fantastic to see them back at Plough Lane again. It's fantastic to see them with their own stadium, but I was looking forward to watching Newcastle play at Plough Lane. That's not going to happen, obviously, but we still get to play them next week. So, wonderful gesture from Newcastle United, and it just proves, football can be a family at times, despite all the crap that goes on around the world sometimes. Now, what I wanted to talk about was Alan Shearer's comments that he's made on the podcast that he does with, I think it's Micah Richards and Gary Lineker, talking about the Newcastle United problems, shall we say, that are going on behind the scenes. And Alan Shearer is adamant that whatever's going on behind the scenes, it trickles down to the performances on the pitch. Now, we spoke about this many times in different shows and had conversations about what we tend to believe as fans what is going on. But Alan Shearer pretty much convinced that something is going on, following on from Paul Mitchell's sit-down interview that he did, saying he was in touch with Eddie Howe all the time, and Eddie Howe came out, of course, and said different. Now, we don't know whether that Mitchell was talking about the transfer window, whether he was in communication with Howe all the time. Anyway, it's just a big fart. It is just a big wet fart in the wind, and, everybody is now believing that something is not quite right behind the scenes, whether it be with the manager or the people above him. But it was a very interesting comments that he's made. He said, what's going on off the pitch is an issue. We've said it before about the sporting director and Eddie. Unless that gets sorted out somehow, it will affect performances on the pitch. It always does. Whatever happens off the pitch in terms of the boardroom or whatever, it eventually comes down, and that needs to be sorted out. So, I think Alan Shearer is perfectly under the impression as well that there is something going on behind the scenes. At first, I think a lot of Newcastle fans, when Eddie came out and said that there was unity, he said that in his press conference, of course. But it seems to me like that there isn't unity there. And even people like Shearer, who will have a lot of contacts inside the club, etc. I really, we can see that things aren't quite right. I'm not sitting here trying to start any malicious rumours that stuff's going on again. I think, all summer there's been some kind of power struggle. Then, of course, Amanda and me at Dad leave, and it hasn't been the same since then. And, even people like Alan Shearer are now saying it has to be sorted out. And quite honestly, if you look at the performances on the pitch from Newcastle this season, there is something missing. And I don't know whether that's belief. We spoke about the players' attitudes last night. We spoke about whether, is Eddie Howe married to a 4-3-3? Has he got the balls to change it? But when we looked at actually changing the formation, we then realised as individuals how difficult it is for Eddie to try and move players into different positions, to try different formations. It's not easy. But that's what he's paid the mega money for at the end of the day. But he went on to talk about the Fulham game, and he said they were rotten for the first half. They were dreadful. I know they've had the results, 3 wins and a draw before Saturday's game, but it was a bit of a reality check. They hadn't played well all season. Now, we've said that. We've done the commentaries on the game, whether it be myself or Billy, and, at St James's Park, I've seen in the flesh that we haven't played very well. And it's there for everybody to see. And there is still some fans in a bit of denial that there's nothing going on, and we're playing all right, and we're picking up results, and we're lying 6th or something in the table. There's nothing to worry about. There is. And I think we all know that the performances haven't been great and they need to vastly improve. But he went on to say they didn't deserve anything against Fulham and were really poor. They changed it up in the second half and there was a little bit of an improvement, but Fulham were miles better and deserved to beat Newcastle. So you kind of look at the comments there from Shearer, and he's very strongly worded with what he's saying there. And we can't, as Newcastle United fans, disagree with what Alan says there. Whatever it is that is going on behind the scenes, and I'm convinced there is something going on, sort it out. Sort it out now while you still can, before this starts to snowball and we end up in more of a worse situation, with regards to everybody. That's the players, the fans, the manager, the sporting director. Everybody needs to just take a chill and sort it. Sort it out before things get really worse, because even the likes of Shearer are now coming out and saying that they need to sort whatever it is going on behind the scenes out and sort it properly so that we can get on with what we really want to see is a very strong performance in the Premier League this season, a couple of good cup runs, because we don't have that European distraction this season. So let's aim for top 4. There's no doubt in my mind we have the players to get there. We've got the talent. It's utilising the talent, but it's also that talent having the right attitude and going out there and performing. Yes, Eddie's made mistakes, and the Tonali situation can rumble on. However, once he's picked that side, certainly the side that he picked on Saturday, for me, was good enough to go and win the game. But there was too many individuals not turning up. And when you've got that fact that so many individuals don't turn up, you start to genuinely believe that there is a problem. If it's only a couple of players, fair enough, but the majority of them, something not quite right. So I really do agree with Alan Shearer, and I think a lot of Newcastle fans will agree with Alan Shearer that it needs sorting now. And finally, Chris Rigg, of course, plays for Sunderland at the moment. Down the road, our enemies, of course, from history. We don't like Sunderland. They don't like us. But Chris Rigg has Newcastle United blood. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second that he's going to jump ship from Sunderland, because it may be too early from him yet. But there's a report out this morning that's talking about Manchester United and Newcastle United going head-to-head to try and sign Chris Rigg as early as the winter transfer window. Now, Chris Rigg is a brilliant footballer. Rivalry aside, you've got to look at individuals and think, yeah, he's a very, very good football player. And he is. Excellent. And would be a great signing for Newcastle United. But the report also says that Sunderland may try and hang on to him because they feel that maybe it's just a bit too early for him to move to a bigger club, stepping up a tier, going into the Premier League as early as the winter window. And they want to try and hang on to him. But to be honest, the money that Newcastle or Manchester United could offer Chris Rigg would be, well, let's say a lot more than what he's on at Sunderland at the minute. But he's been linked with Newcastle many times before, even from his academy days. Led to believe he's a Newcastle fan. His family are Newcastle fans. So, you know, it would seem like Chris Rigg would probably come to Newcastle if we had that persuasion there. But it's just whether or not Newcastle are going to pull the trigger and try and go for him. For me, very, very good player. And I wouldn't say no to signing Chris Rigg, despite the fact of rivalry with Sunderland. Chris Rigg is a good player. And his Newcastle links may pull him in that direction, even if Manchester United do come in for him. But let me know. Do you think Chris Rigg would be a good signing as early as the winter window, or do you think he needs to stay at Sunderland and develop more? Because that's looking like what Sunderland are trying to advise the kid to do. But of course, time will tell on that. But thank you very much for watching, guys. As usual, leave your comments below on all the subjects covered today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on Tuesday afternoon, don't forget, the War Lasses show is tonight at 7 o'clock. That is with Sam and Aaron, of course. We'll be talking about the 2-0 win over Sheffield United and the games coming up and reviewing all the performance, etc. So it'll be a cracking show, so please give them your support by tuning in from 7 o'clock tonight. But if you've enjoyed this one, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new to the channel, of course, please subscribe. It is free to do so. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload like this one or any of our live shows. But thank you much for watching and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, folks. Take care.